Hey, welcome back to Mike Seibert Radio. I am your host, and this is an episode I wasn't necessarily planning on doing, but I had a little bit of extra time, and I was kind of itchy, and thought I would kind of take some of that anxiousness and actually be productive with it. So I thought I would give you a little bit of a preview, a sneak peek, if you will, of TFCon Los Angeles 2022. I am recording in my hotel room. In fact, actually, I am under a blanket fort, blanket and pillow fort, because it's still a little early in the morning, and I want to be respectful of quiet time, because I don't think quiet time has actually lapsed yet. But I thought, as I kind of talk about TFCon LA and what is coming up and some things that I'm kind of excited about, I wanted to talk a little bit about why I'm actually here, why I'm here at TFCon LA, because I wasn't initially planning on coming. I know a lot of us have had various feelings regarding the ongoing pandemic. And I don't necessarily want to or mean to get into a political discussion with regards to the Rona. But for me, I haven't traveled anywhere. In fact, this was the first time I've flown anywhere in, well, certainly in the last 2 years, but probably closer to 3 years if I think about it more. In fact, I don't know if I've flown anywhere since my wife and I went to Toronto in 2019. So that at least checks out. And I've had various invitations to come to other TFCons during the pandemic once they kind of got going. And my answer has always been too far too soon. And I remember when TFCon was first announced, and it was in the far-flung future of 2022. And for my personal sensibilities, I always needed like the calendar to roll over to the next year. So in this case, with TFCon LA being announced for 2022, and we were in the midst of 2021, I got excited about that. I was like, oh, okay, well that's something I could do. And then 2021 never really ended. And then as 2022 came around, it really is 2022, the sequel to 2020 that none of us asked for. And my interest in traveling for a convention dwindled. And I didn't really think that was something that was going to be on the agenda. In the meantime, my buddy Aaron from the Autopod Decepticast had thought for a time that he was going to come to TFCon. And it was the same thing that he had mentioned to me in Baltimore. It's like, for TFCon Baltimore, I mean, he asked if I wanted to go and kind of ribbed me a little bit, saying like, you should go, it'll be a lot of fun, that kind of thing. And he brought up the perspective of splitting a room, a hotel room, which, seemed very appealing. I like hanging out with Aaron, and that would help defer some of that cost. But even then, I wasn't, super into the idea, because from my point of view, the pandemic was still going on, and again, traveling wasn't something that I was super excited about. So that was kind of the attitude that I had, and we always marry up, right? And our I just happened to be talking to my wife in passing, just making conversation about this conversation I had with my buddy Aaron. And to my surprise, she's like, well, maybe you should go. Not really pushing me one way or the other, but she's like, well, how do you feel? Where's your comfort level at? And my mind started working, and I came to realize that I'm kind of done living in fear. And again, I'm not trying to engage you one way or the other, because I'm fully supportive of everyone's decision about their own personal health choices. So I'm not here trying to say that I'm making the wise decision or the right decision or whatever. I'm making the decision that is what I feel to be right for me at the right time. Because, I've, for lack of a better term, I've been pretty good. I go to work, I come home, and, I haven't, done any traveling or anything like that. And anyway, I just, the thing that really appealed to me in terms of coming back to TFCon and coming back to Los Angeles is the opportunity to connect with friends. I've in the time since I've decided to go to TFCon LA, I've connected with at least a dozen folks, and just looking to get together or share a beverage or just do high fives and selfies and whatever. And that's why I'm here. Obviously, there's a stacked lineup of all kinds of cool, talented celebrity folks from various corners of the Transformers media experience. I'm here for that as well. There's some autographs that I'm looking to get since I'm here, but at the core, I'm here to hang out with friends. And I'm also here to get a change of scenery. We've all had various trauma and change to who we are during these last 2 years of pandemic. And I've had no small amount of angst and existential dread and fits of depression and or what you could call capital P problems. And I think as I was discussing with my wife, or she was discussing with me, this is kind of a mental health break. It's kind of a wellness trip, if if you want to look at it that way. Suddenly the idea of shaking the bottle up and getting a change of scenery and quite frankly getting some sunshine. I happened to be recording early in the morning, and I just discovered that apparently my hotel room is facing the east, and I didn't close my blinds as tightly as I thought, and so that California sunrise just pierced right in, and I am now up perhaps a little earlier than I would have liked, especially given what time I went to bed last night. But anyway, yeah, it's a little bit of sunshine for my Pacific Northwest glumness, and yeah, just hang out with some friends. Now, I've been to TFCon LA before. I came to the one in 2019. Which at the time was kind of billed as a once-in-a-lifetime event. It was kind of celebrating the 35th anniversary of Generation 1, and the guests and focus was primarily G1. So, it was something I was incredibly interested in, came down, had an agenda, wanted to get a bunch of autographs, accomplish that, and one of the things, though, that I wasn't anticipating or counting on is interacting with so many people, friends here in Los Angeles. Like there was a group of folks from Cybfest Northwest, the Seattle area based fan convention. I had no idea that those folks were coming down. I see them in the lobby right before I leave. It was weird. I've got other friends from other corners of the fandom that I ran into as well. Wasn't necessarily expecting to see them. And at the time in 2019, I almost looked at it as not specifically a nuisance, but kind of like diverged me from my path, from my quest, to get those autographs. And I've learned from that experience. And now, here in 2022, my perspective is completely different. Whereas I am here specifically for the social interaction, and if I make it to the convention, that's cool too. That's really kind of the attitude that I have. Like I'm working with a couple folks. I'm not doing any of the work, but like there's a. We're talking about heading out to the Scum and Villainy Cantina on Hollywood Boulevard, the home of the Fat Man Beyond podcast, Kevin Smith's podcast. I'm a huge fan of that show, and I'm a huge fan of that place, and it was on my bucket list to do in 2019, and didn't quite prioritize it or plan it well enough, so I didn't make it out, and I was always kind of bummed. But yeah, I mean, there's we're potentially looking at a group of us going. I would like to go just so that I could meet the proprietor of Scum and Villainy Cantina, one J.C. Reifenberg, who is a friend of my friend, Anthony Brucali from TFU.info, and he's also a huge fan of Transformers the movie. So he's a dude I would be very interested in meeting and chatting with, and hey, it's the Star Wars bar, so but like I'm also kind of working with a couple friends. We're gonna go check out a couple record stores, just stuff like that. That it's just enjoying friendship, which again is really what I'm here for. But as I said, though, I mean, there is still a convention to be had, and I'm going to participate to the best of my ability. But I got to tell you, this is a stacked lineup. So if you plan on coming to Los Angeles, you still can. Tickets are still available. Head over to tfconla.com for the full lineup and schedule and all of that information. And well, actually, yeah, I guess a couple things before I kind of go through this lineup and the schedule. But I do want to say, though, before I get too far, that that TFCon does have, being here in Los Angeles County and adjacent to the city of Los Angeles, they do have some pretty well-defined health and safety guidelines. There's a full tab on their website, and masks are mandatory because it's an event of over 1,000 people in LA County. There's no exceptions. You can't eat food or drink on the show floor, and they are also requiring proof of full vaccination against COVID, or a negative test. And they actually just updated their website, and apparently they're offering free COVID testing as well. So it's nice to see that a convention is advertising or having a section for health and safety, and you can read between those lines as much as you would want to. But yeah, I mean, as I said, it is a stacked lineup. There are almost 40 voice actors alone, plus tons of writers, And the thing that's interesting, and I mentioned the previous TFCon in LA back in 2019, and its G1 focus. This one's a little different in that it kind of celebrates Transformers media kind of across the entire rainbow. You know, there are obviously some G1 folks, but there's, you know, the whole spectrum between, you know, Beast Wars and both incarnations of Robots in Disguise, TFP, Transformers Animated. They're even the one of the writers of the new BotBot show is going to be at this convention. So it's and as well as comic creators as well. So it's a pretty cool spectrum of guests. So I think this, more than the previous TFCon LA, there's more for everybody. I think if you're a fan of one particular show, you can roll in and find somebody that you can connect with. Also, Stan Bush and Vince DiCola are here as well, and like I mentioned, there are a handful of comics creators, folks from the IDW era of comics. I'm especially excited to meet Tyler Blazinski. He wrote the Transformers Galaxies Constructicons Rising comic with Livio Ramadelli, who I'm a huge fan of. His new book, The Killock, the Artisan Wraith, just dropped. I haven't got my copy yet. Hopefully Livio's got some comps on his table so that I could buy that. But I have tons of great favorites as well. Andrew Griffith, Casey Collar, and EJ Sue is here as well. It's not to go on a IDW tangent, but he's the first artist of the IDW comics era, and he's gearing up to do Last Bot Standing, which is the last IDW comic. So there's some really cool bookends. I don't know if he does a bunch of conventions, but Josh Burcham and Josh Perez, the Josh Bros, are here as well, and those folks are always awesome. To say nothing about like all of the cool fan artists they're going to be tabling and selling stuff as well. Tchotchkes merch, zines, and the like. But who wants to bother promoting fan creators at a fan convention, right? Some low key shade there first thing in the morning. But for me, as I said, there's a couple folks I'm interested in visiting. As I said, the comic book creators, especially, I brought some of Andrew Griffith's G.I. Joe comics to get autographed, and again, I'm looking to see Livio again and Tyler Blazinski, have them sign a bunch of Constructicon comics, and Casey Collar's got some new prints that I'm very interested in as well as Thomas Deere, who is not on their website. He's got some great prints as well that I'm really excited to check out. But on the voice talent side, I guess I'm primarily interested in Greg Berger, the voice of Grimlock in Generation 1. He's a dude that I keep missing. Like, he seems to be at the conventions that I'm not at. He was at TFCon LA back in 2019, but only on Friday only, and then I happened to fly in on Saturday, so I've missed him, and now he's here, I'm here, and I could get my poster autographed. As well as John Machida Jr., the voice of Blur, get his autograph as well. Oh, and Stan Bush. I guess since Stan Bush is here and he participated in the Transformers the movie, they can all autograph my poster as well. And I've talked about this in many other places and other podcasts, but it's a 12 by 18 poster from the first Fathom event screening of Transformers the movie, with art by Livio Ramadelli. I had it autographed by a whole bunch of other folks last time around, and I was genuinely unsure if I wanted to like take the poster out of its frame, take it off the wall, and cart it down here to Los Angeles to get more autographs on it. And I like Doc Brown, I thought, what the hell? So I'm excited to get those autographs for the poster. I'm also getting an autograph from the dude who plays Bumblebee on the War for Cybertron Netflix series for my buddy Ben as well. But outside of that, I mean, that's really about it. I mean, I could easily fall into a deep rabbit hole of voice actors, and like getting voice liners or messages or things like that, similar to what I did last time. In fact, the whole reason why I wanted to record this podcast was to check out my my digital recorder, my Tascam, just to make sure it was working okay. And if public service announcement, if you are using a Tascam, in fact, I have a DR40. When you go to record something, it has a double clutch on it, so you have to press the record button once. And you could talk into the microphone, and you could hear yourself in your headphones to monitor, but you got to hit it a second time to start recording. I may have not have done that previously, and see my podcast from TFCon 2019 and my Arthur Burghardt story. So I've already had an incident where I've done that to myself, but onward and upward, I suppose. But so moving on to the panel schedule, and again, it is a full event schedule. It is a full panel schedule where, if that's what you want to do, and everybody has a different show, right? Some folks are show floor people, some folks are celebrity guest enthusiasts, and other folks are all about the panels and that panel room vibe. There's a lot here for a lot of folks, but since there are so many guests, I think there are also some gaps too. There's only so many hours in a day, and I wonder if there's only so many panel rooms available, so many resources. But it feels like there's some stuff that's potentially missing. Maybe I'll revisit that if I happen to do a recap podcast. But so registration for the convention is at 5. Starts at 5. So in a sense, that's why I'm kind of doing a recorded podcast before I go hit the town and go get some breakfast and splash around in the pool and all that stuff, because I don't really have a whole lot to do until 5 o'clock. Maybe I should concentrate on relaxing instead. But the first program actually is at 7 o'clock in the panel room, and it's a doozy. It's a Transformers animated retrospective remembering Derek J. Wyatt, and it has a couple folks that were involved in the show and is hosted by Rick Alvarez. Now, you've heard me talk about recently the upcoming Transformers animated recap podcast that I'm going to be doing with Michael Andrews. Working title is Two Mikes Too Furious, but I'm sure it'll become something else by the time we get there. But this feels to me like it's a good opportunity to kind of immerse myself and expose myself to Transformers Animated. I haven't watched any of Transformers Animated, so I don't necessarily have the connection that a lot of other folks do, but I know folks, I've seen like that outpouring of sadness when Derek J. Wyatt passed away, as well as a celebration of his art and his art style. So I think like a retrospective and a tribute would be something really cool and interesting for me to check out. But then at 8 o'clock, it's the return of The Secrets of Five Faces of Darkness with Flint Dille and Jim Sorensen. Now, I laugh because this is not the first time that Flint has done this presentation panel show. The first time I saw him do it was at TFCon Chicago in 2018, and it was around the same time. And that, I don't know if that panel ever actually really ended, because basically it kind of went all night, and I think they just kind of stopped like once the panel room was empty and like the janitorial team was coming in to vacuum, because Flint Dilley, he is a verbose dude, and so he likes talking about Five Faces of Darkness, the episode he wrote to kick off season 3. But anyway, I'm going to check that out. I don't know how long I'm going to hang out for, but I like listening to and watching Flint speak, and if he's got Jim Sorensen there too to bounce off of, so much the better. But that's going to be a lot of fun. But basically, that's Friday, and then off to Friday night activities. Not sure exactly what's on the docket yet, but Saturday, at least for me, there aren't a whole lot of panels I'm specifically interested in, and a lot of stuff that I could potentially miss. So I think Saturday is going to be kind of like my dealer room day, and catching up with some of those folks to get autographs. But a couple highlights I wanted to point out. First, at 11 o'clock is a live action movie Q&A, which is an easy skip for me. But one I do want to check out if I can at noon is the music of the Transformers the movie with Vince DiCola and Stan Bush. And it's interesting because like if it was any other moment in time, this would be like a must see for me. But it's interesting and kind of funny, I guess in an irony kind of way. I've had Vince on my show. I've had Stan on my show. So I think for me the excitement here is to have the two of them together on a panel, because I don't know how much they interact. I don't know if they hang out outside of stuff like this. But yeah, I think it would be fun. But like material wise, it's stuff that I've already done on my podcast, which is a weird perspective to consider. But then later on in the day, and I kind of like how they put this, that it's kind of like a back-to-back rock block, a double shot of Robots in Disguise. At 1 o'clock, there's a Robots in Disguise 2001 Q&A panel with some of the voice actors, and then followed right after by Robots in Disguise 2015, as well as Transformers Prime Q&A with those voice actors. So I thought that was kind of cool. Now, this might be a somewhat unpopular perspective, but I'm not really into the costume contest. Like, I love my friends who love cosplay, and I like talking to them about their cosplays, and I like talking about that culture, but I'm not like super into like actually like watching the costume contest. I don't know why, but yeah, just it's, you know, when you go to a convention or two, you kind of learn how to navigate the convention. You kind of figure out the ebb and flow, and some of it is to figure out what like some of the crowd draws are, and the costume contest is a huge draw. It's incredibly popular. So for me, at least, being, you know, a show floor type of person, during the costume contest, yeah, that's why I'm going to be running around trying to buy stuff, I think. Or again, trying to get autographs. Now at 4 o'clock, it's the third-party product reveal panel, and as I've talked about before, I'm not a huge third-party guy. I'm not as opposed to it as, say, some of my friends. But I might pop in and check it out just to see if there are some reveals that are worthwhile. This was always a favorite of my buddy Aaron's. So maybe he'll watch it and maybe I'll watch it, and we might do something related to that. I'm workshopping as I'm thinking out loud, but I want to talk about it here because I won't talk about it. I don't think I would come back to it, but TFCon is offering a few exclusive toys through their partners, and usually those are. Yeah, I mean it's easy skips for me because third-party figures are expensive and don't necessarily have a place in my collection for it. But there is one figure that does kind of have caught my eye, and it's a figure I passed on previously last year during the online version, TFCon Online. They had essentially a Batman figure, and it came in black. And I passed on it. I wasn't really interested in it, but now they've done a repaint of it, and instead of in black, it's in more traditional classic comic book colors. So it's in a gray and a dark blue. And for the color scheme alone, I'm very interested in it, and I think at a time where regardless of your opinion of third-party Transformers, I think doing double IP infringement is pretty ballsy. So I appreciate the audacity of that. I don't know if I'll pick it up or not. It's over $100, but I think if I see it in hand, it might change my mind. But it's a cool concept, but like as my buddy Michael Andrews said, I don't know if I'm so interested in a figure that turns into a PlayStation 2 controller. So your actual mileage may vary. But later in the afternoon, there's a live script reading, and again, much like the costume contest, I'm not super into that scene. I like voice actors, and I like talking about like the craft and the process, but I don't know if I'm super into people like watching people read scripts. It's just not my thing. But the dealer room closes at 6, as does the artist alley. So after that, and I'm definitely going to check this out. At 6 p.m., there's the Transformers War for Cybertron cast Q&A, and there's I don't know, there's at least like a dozen people from that show here at the convention. So it would be interesting to see a Q&A panel where almost everybody sounds the same. Oh no, that's not nice. But yeah, with that much representation of the show, it would be kind of interesting to see now that the show has been out there and has run its course and has kind of been there for a few, some of the hot takes may have cooled a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see what this cast is like when it interacts in a Q&A format. It's going to be legit fun to check out, and plus it's an evening activity. Now looking ahead to Sunday, the last day of the show, I hope that I get my dealer room stuff and my autograph stuff and whatever else done on Saturday, because Sunday seems to be panel day for me. It's it's a rock block from like the beginning all the way through. I probably will spend the majority of my day in the panel room. Starting at 10 a.m., there is a writing for animation panel with a lot of the writers of the cartoons. So that's going to be fun. But the one thing that I don't want to miss, I guess, of all of these various panels, the thing that I can't miss because friendship is the Studio Series stop motion panel. That's going to be with my buddy Joe Troutman, who you might know as the creator of the Facebook group Transformers Till All Are One, where fans and talent come together. It's a really cool Facebook group with fans and talent folks, and it's a terrific group. But this is something. This is a project that kind of goes back quite a long way, and I'm hoping that that all of the NDAs have since expired, because now all of the content is out there. I say as I'm looking out my window, and I can. Well, I mean, I'm under a blanket now, so I'm not actually looking out the window. But when I was looking out my window earlier, Hasbro headquarters is literally right across the street from the hotel. I can see it from my room. And I remember back in 2019, we were making comments about that. It's like, oh, hey, Hasbro's right across the street. But it was on the opposite side of the street, so I didn't see that, and I just kind of laughed and thought it was figurative. No, the building is line of sight from my hotel room. So John Hasbro is here. But anyway, it's so the stop motion shorts, you might have seen them during the latest Fathom event screening of Transformers the movie. Hasbro Pulse later released them on their YouTube channel, so they're out there, and they're pretty great. But it's kind of, the brainchild of Joe Troutman. He connected with Flint Dilley, as well as a couple other cats like Travis Ryan and others to create these stop motion animated shorts. He also recruited Greg Berger and John Machida Jr. and Stan Bush. I think Vince Nicola ended up even doing some music for it as well. Anyway, it was a really cool project. But where I'm going with like the expiring NDAs is that I remember hearing about this project back in November, around Thanksgiving of 2020. And I kind of got acquainted with Joe leading up to IACON Online, and he was telling me about this project that he was working on that he couldn't talk about, and he told me about all of these Studio Series, Transformers the movie Studio Series action figures that he could not tell me about. I think Wave 1 had been announced, but nothing had shipped yet. And at this point, as history knows, he got to futz around with like pretty much the entire line, which is super cool. So when I saw those shorts during the screening of the movie, I was like, oh my God, this is that thing that Joe told me about back at Thanksgiving that he couldn't talk about. so it was kind of neat and cool to kind of see that project become fully realized, and so yeah, I want to make sure and show up for this panel to listen to all of them talk about it, and then that goes right into a Transformers the movie Q&A with Ron Friedman. I've seen Ron Friedman a couple times now. I'm so sorry to say, I don't want to be rude. I participated in an interview with Ron Friedman that Aaron from Autopod Decepticast did. I've seen his panel in TFCon Toronto, and maybe that was just it. I feel like there was a second one as well. Anyway, I think I have heard all I need to from Ron Friedman about Transformers the movie. It's fine. He has some wonderful insights and some great stories, but they're ones that I've already heard. So if this is one I end up skipping, maybe that's all right. But the one I don't want to miss is the one right after at 1 o'clock. It's Remembering Jack Angel. And that features voice actors Michael Bell, Jerry Hauser, Paul Eiding, Neil Ross, Greg Berger, Morgan Lofting, and that is hosted by Rick Alvarez. That is going to be a terrific and bittersweet panel because, for me at least, I mentioned that TFCon 2019 was kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of opportunity, and in a weird kind of way, it ended up being that, and that like one of the folks that I met and got autographs and a line reading from was Jack Angel, who has since passed away. And I actually bought his book off of him at the time. It's called How to Succeed in Voiceovers Without Ever Losing. And I remember he he asked me, he's like, so are you interested in being a voiceover artist or doing voice acting? And I was like, no, sir, I'm actually I actually work in radio. And he's like, oh, radio, that's wonderful, terrific. And he tells me a little bit about how he used to be a radio DJ, and I told him that I do podcasting as well, and he's like, terrific, good for you. Just a really sweet fellow. But since I haven't read the book yet, I keep meaning to, and I think I'm going to this weekend. And it's very short. It's very thin. It's only how many pages is it? I actually have it in front of me here. It's less than 100 pages. So yeah, that's something I should take the time, probably actually today while I'm hanging around by the pool trying to relax. Maybe I'll crank through it. But anyway, that's a panel that I'm very interested in checking out. And then immediately after that is a really cool Beast Wars Q&A with David Kay and Ian James Corlett. And even though I haven't partaken of the Beast Wars, David Kay is a treasure, and I just like watching him talk to folks. He's terrific. And closing out the main programming panel is a women in voice acting panel featuring Morgan Lofting, Lindsay Rousseau, and Janine Carr. That's going to be, I'm really looking forward to that one as well. And then it closes out with a Q&A with the convention staff. So that's basically TFCon in a nutshell. I also noticed that there's no podcasters roundtable panel this time around, which is just fine. I guess Evangelist doesn't come to to town to the convention. I guess that's a thing that doesn't happen. If only there were other podcasters in existence. Wow, I got a good night's sleep too, and I don't know where the low-key shade is coming from, but whatever. And actually, you know what? Now that I say that out loud, I don't really know if a whole lot of podcasters are here. I mean, I'm here, but I don't think any of the transmissions guys are here. I don't think anybody from TF Radio is here. So yeah, the Radio Free Cybertron guys. I know Josh and Trish from More Than Meets the Ear are here, but I don't know if they're still doing that show. They haven't posted an episode since October, so I don't know. But anyway, that just a random observation is random. So yeah, I mean, again, that's about it. But honestly, I'm not sure at this point if I'm going to do a follow-up recap episode. So this might be it for my coverage of TFCon LA. I'll let you know. But before I close out and get ready to start my day and have some breakfast and some pool time, I do want to talk about something random. I had a little bit of time at the airport flying out of Seattle, the SeaTac airport. Got there a little early. Check-in didn't take nearly as long as we were banking for, so I had some time to walk around the airport, actually something I haven't done. But before this is such a dumb story, but before my wife was helping me pack up, and she encouraged me to take some bottled water and some other stuff, and she asked me if I wanted to take alcohol with me, like if I wanted to take like a bottle of booze or something, and I declined because it's like I don't want to have like a bottle of liquor in there, and I'm probably going to spend most of my time in the bar anyway. I don't want to mess with that. It's one more thing to worry about, one more thing that could potentially break, could be a real problem. So I passed. I declined. but when I got to the airport and I'm walking around, I I see signs for the duty-free store. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'll go check out the duty-free store. Maybe there's something there that might catch my eye, something exotic that I could buy and take with me. And there was, I mean, like there was like selections of stuff, varieties of some of my favorite alcohols that I've never seen before. That was really odd. I don't know if it's like exotic international stuff or what, but before I even got serious about shopping, I saw signs everywhere that says alcohol and tobacco purchases are for international flights only. So somebody figured out what my plan was. So and it wouldn't have to be like checked in my bag. I could just like stick it in my carry-on. I had already gone through security screening, so I don't have the embarrassment of like taking a bottle through a scanner. But anyway, that wasn't to be. But what I did check out was the Sub Pop store in the airport, and Sub Pop is a iconic independent record label out of Seattle. They are the label that put out the debut album of a little band from Aberdeen you might have heard of, Nirvana. They put out their album Bleach. And if you didn't know that, the store makes it very apparent because there are copies of Bleach all over the store, like every 12 feet. There's some variation. They have it on CD, they have it on vinyl, they have it on cassette, they have books, they have all kinds of things connected to Bleach. They're really trying to make sure that folks know and understand that, hey, we published that Nirvana record, so I guess they still have the publishing rights ? But anyway, I went through the Sub Pop store. It was pretty cool. Good selections of vinyl and apparel and things like that. But something I found was there's a series of books, and these are I guess digest style books. They're very small. I would say, I don't know, like 3x5, I guess. Yeah, again, just very digest size. It's a series of books called 33 and a Third, and basically they are short books about albums. And there's about like 150 of them. It's a long running series, but like I was caught by the visual of this row of books going across like 12 feet of shelving. So I was browsing it, and I found a couple to pick up. One was on AC/DC's Highway to Hell, and the other one is about Metallica, the Black Album. And it's really great. It was written by a music critic whose name escapes me. I don't actually have the book in front of me. But it was really good, and it's a kind of a history and making of the Black Album. And the thing that I found most interesting about the book, I read it on the flight. It's just a short read. It's like 110 pages, and I read it cover to cover on the flight from Seattle to Burbank. So you crank it out in a couple hours. It's a great poolside read, as are the other ones. I mean, they're all the same length, but it one makes me really want to revisit the Black Album, because I have not listened to that in its entirety in a very long time. So I think it would be fun to revisit that and re-listen to it and reappraise it. It really talks about the philosophy of Metallica and where they were at the time that they connected with Bob Rock and made the Black Album, and kind of talks about where like the trajectory of the band goes from there. And the book puts it in a way to where it makes me reappraise my feeling, my perspective on Metallica post the Black Album, and it kind of recanonized things. It actually makes a fair case for Lulu, even that collaboration they did with Lou Reed that nobody liked. But it also reminded me that, a few years ago I was a guest on Unfunny Nerd Tangent with Greg and Caleb from Autopod Decepticast, and there was another guy on that panel too, but I don't remember off the top of my head. And but anyway, it was a really great discussion. It was fun to talk about the music of Metallica and what it means to us. But I remember we got some pointed feedback from Anthony Brucali from TFU.info. And incidentally, if you're playing the MSRP drinking game, you got to drink anytime I mention Ant from TFU.info, right? But anyway, he gave us some feedback and said, hey, it was a fun discussion and some great insight, but I think towards the end, you guys kind of missed the point a little bit. I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was kind of more or less, to his satisfaction, we didn't quite stick the landing in terms of the influence and legacy of Metallica. And after reading this little book, I understand now more where he was coming from. So I don't know, maybe I do some more podcasting about my thoughts about Metallica post reading this book. It's a great read. It's about 110 pages. If I did have one criticism, it's the author's word choice gets very repetitive, but there's only so many synonyms in the thesaurus that you can apply to heavy music. So it's like when the author is describing each successive songs, a lot of those same terms kind of come up over and over, and it's noticeably repetitive, but that doesn't take away from the narrative. So I really like the Metallica Black Album book, and I'm really excited now to check out the AC/DC Highway to Hell book as well, because that's also about a transitionary time for that band. So anyway, that's if that's something you want to check out, it's the 33 and a third series. It's published by Bloomsbury, bloomsbury.com, or 333sound.com, where they have like a catalog of all of the entire series. And again, there's like 150 of them, so it's quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, what else? I think that's going to wrap it up for me. It's time for me to go do some relaxing, kind of a calm before the storm of TFCon. I'm really excited to connect with friends and have some good times and just wear myself out. Like I think that's why I'm excited for as well. Just the hustle and the running around. It's a feeling I haven't had for a while, so I'm really excited to do it in a safe environment where everybody's wearing masks and everybody's vaxxed and it's all good. But I'm also excited to do some relaxing. Like I keep saying, I'm probably going to do some splashing around in the pool, maybe get around to reading that Jack Angel book. But in terms of like what's coming up in the podcast, I still owe everyone a second half of the Book of Boba Fett episode, reassemble our panel. And I also want to do an episode on a movie that really grabbed my attention in the last week called New York Ninja. You've probably seen me posting about it, but it's one of those found films, very similar to Miami Connection, where basically a video distribution company called Vinegar Syndrome found in a warehouse several reels of unedited camera negatives for a movie called New York Ninja from 1984. Now, there was no sound, no script, no nothing other than this raw film. So basically what they did was they restored the film, because film restoration is a big deal of what Vinegar Syndrome does. So they restored the film, basically wrote a story, edited it, put it together, and then assembled a top-notch cast of heavy hitters of, like, old ninja movies of the 80s. Like you got Don the Dragon Wilson and Cynthia Rothrock and a bunch of others. It is just such... The movie isn't good, but that's kind of not the point, because you just kind of like delight in the absurdity and just appreciate the craft. I happened to see a 35 millimeter print of it at the Grand Illusion Theater in U District in Seattle. Went on a bad movie mandate with my buddy from work, and I'm really hoping to do an episode about it, because like I have ninja fever, and I wonder if, like, as I'm having conversations with friends here at TFCon, where it's going to be like, yeah, Transformers is great, but have you seen New York Ninja? But that will all have to wait until after TFCon, and that will wrap things up for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and don't forget, you can follow me on social media at Mike Seibert Radio on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm pretty much equally active on all those platforms, and you can become a Mike Seibertronian and join the MSRP Friends and Fans Facebook group, and tune in for the Mike Seibert Radio podcast live stream, happening occasionally on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. Like, share, rate, and review the show. Let us know what you'd like and what you'd like to hear more of in the future. From TFCon Los Angeles 2022, my name is Mike. This has been Mike Seibert Radio. And until next time, tell all or one, make good choices.
Abductions of young women are still being reported. Another woman with mysterious radiation burns has been discovered.
We're gonna have a baby.
Oh my God.
I can't believe that John's wife was murdered.
You have to try and pull yourself together.
This city owes me
Well, what's that?
justice. Why won't anyone do anything?
We are strong on crime, and together we have the power.
This is a big city. We're doing what we can.
Tell the others, I'm coming for them.
I need you to help me.
I would, but I want them dead.
Crime has remained at an all-time low thanks to ninja fever.
We're going live with this.
These men murdered her because of what she saw. It's linked to these abductions.
There's something weighing us down. It's that damn ninja.
New York Ninja's a real hero.